Hello, everyone. Welcome to In the Neighborhood with your hosts, Tim Johnson and Stacy Borho. Together, they are finding out what makes the heart of the Heartland beat. They sit down with people in your community that lead organizations, businesses, and government. You'll learn who they are and what they're involved in and why. They are the people in your neighborhood. It's In the Neighborhood with Stacy Borho and Tim Johnson.
Hi everybody, my name is Tim Johnson and this is not Stacy. This is Erin Mills. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you.
She's getting to co-host with us. She's our, I would say, the associate director of the studio.
No.
But she actually does a lot of work behind the scenes for Peoria Life, and Stacy couldn't make it in today, so you graciously
You get me,
Yeah.
a newbie.
So welcome to this 149th show. We'll be at 150 next week.
It's a special show.
It will be.
Special surprises.
Really?
No.
I didn't know about this. No. So, boy, you schedule all of our shows. You're the one that does a lot of posting of the shows and stuff like that. So, greatly appreciate all that you do. Who are you?
I'm Erin Mills. I am originally from Texas, and my family and I moved to the Illinois area last year, about a year ago. So we love it. We enjoy it. It's a good community. So, yeah. I came on with Peoria Life, I guess, in December.
Yeah.
So about 6 months, 7 months.
She's great. She does a lot of great stuff for us. So we have a great team, and we'll maybe next week we'll introduce our team a little bit more and kind of go through some of those things. But 150 shows it'll be. Stacy, I know you're out there closing a loan today, but we miss you.
Yes, we won't forget you.
Okay, would you introduce our guest for us today?
Yes, we are excited to have Jenna Walker from Central Illinois Writing Therapy, also known as CERT, right?
Yep.
Or CURT.
CERT.
CERT. No, CERT. Yeah. So we're excited to hear about what do you guys do, and you can tell us where you're located, of course, and if you have any other wanderers, like you told me a story earlier about wanderers. So, but yeah, so we're excited to hear all about what you guys do.
Well, we are located in East Peoria, and we're part of the Fond du Lac Park District. So, if anybody knows where the farm park is, we're in the same park that they are, and we've got a nice barn there. We house now 12 horses. Wow. We were just at 10. We just expanded to 12. We have an indoor arena, an outdoor arena, a huge pasture, and a half-mile and a fourth-mile trail that we can take our students on. We work with kids, adults, and our veterans with mental, physical, and emotional disabilities, and we provide riding therapy for them. So all of our students come and they work with the horses in one way or another for their therapy. So that's a little bit about what we do.
So you're located, and there's a little plug here for Farm Park in Fond du Lac Park District. If you haven't seen that place, brought your kids, great little place to go and visit. It's a little have you been there yet?
They're closed on Mondays, and I apparently always show up on a Monday.
But no, it's a great place to go. And so you're located right up there on the hill in East Peoria?
Yes.
And how long have you guys been doing that?
We have been in operation for 34 years this year. We started out in 1983, and we moved to different locations. And then in 1988, the Park District offered us this building, and so we've been there since 1988, and working with them. We can't say enough great about the Fond du Lac Park District. They're a great group of people to work with, and we've grown from 6 horses and 6 riders to now over 100 riders and 12 horses. So we're continuing to grow and add on what we can do and different things that we can help the students with. Mm-hmm. So
that's awesome. How did you get involved?
I knew the executive director at the time, and we happened to be on a trail ride. Riding our own horses, and I told her, I said, I'm looking for another job. I didn't want to stay in the working at a nail salon for the rest of my life. And she called me a couple days later and said the office gal retired, asked if I'd like to come in and just fill in part-time. And I said yes, so I've been there ever since. And then I worked up to becoming an instructor, and then I took over as director here in the last 4 or 5 years.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. So did you have a background in horses,
Yes.
I guess?
Yes.
You grew up with horses as a kid. That's every girl's dream.
Oh
isn't
yes, it was a wonderful childhood.
My
So.
9-year-old, we've been to that park over there by the farm park, and every time she's like, "Can we please go see the horses, Mom?" And I'm like, "I don't know anything about this place. We can't just wander in there."
Oh yeah. We
So-
have a lot of people that come for the farm park or just come for the park. The one playground is completely handicap accessible, so we have a lot of people that are up there enjoying the park. It's a very nice park, and they just come down and want to see what we are and see the horses. So please stop by anytime.
Yeah,
and,
it is a
see
great
us.
park.
So,
We do love that park. It's very accessible to anybody with any ability, and so my kids really love it. So, so if you are saying that's okay, I'm going to totally bring her by
most
sometime
definitely.
because she would be really upset that we were on the show with you and that I didn't ask. Can we please come by and see the horses?
Most definitely.
So I have a connection. I have several connections being growing up on farms up in Wisconsin during the summers and cousins up there who love horses. Going out and riding horse. If you ever get the chance to ride horse in the snow, you know, it is just one of the most relaxing, beautiful things I've ever done in my life. What would you say is your purpose for what you guys do?
Trying to help anybody become a better person, to better themselves, whether it be emotionally, physically, mentally. We're there to help them improve themselves and be better or more productive people in society. So for a lot of our students, say they're coming in with emotional problems. Maybe they have low confidence. We're going to work with them and match them with horses. See, all of our horses have different personalities just like people do. So for someone who's really shy and very quiet, more of an introvert, I'm going to put him on one of our horses that like prances around, can't stand still. He's constantly into something. And what you're going to see is that horses and the student who's down here and the horse that's up here, they're going to equal each other out. They're going to feed off of each other. And that helps bring the student out. Maybe they can answer questions where before it's, yes, no, maybe. And maybe they elaborate more. For some students, it helps them to focus. Horseback riding can be very, very relaxing, and it can also help stimulate them. So for some kids that, don't want to talk or talk too much and have problems listening, it helps them to focus so that they can do simple tasks, pick up an object, reach for certain objects, that kind of thing. So we use the horses in a variety of ways that way. For someone that's having problems walking, maybe they use a stroller or a cane or crutches. Horses are the closest thing. No other machine does it better than a horse as far as walking. So we can match them if we're working on a task such as following directions, reaching for objects, paying attention where they're at, or we can take their style of walking and totally change it up on a different horse that doesn't match them to work on balance, inner ear, and build core muscles. For some of our students, that helps them to be able to talk. We work on a lot of breathing. We do a lot of different exercises, yoga, Tai Chi for students who have major anxiety. So, of course, anytime you get on a horse, you put 1,000 pounds and you're trying to steer it through an obstacle. I mean, that's a huge confidence builder when you look at, how big the animal is and how much power there is. So.
That's awesome. So do you guys have a curriculum, or is it just things that you have, like as somebody comes in, how do you just kind of know what to do, or have you, obviously there's probably been some study put into how do we take these different, disabilities or things like that and match it with a horse. So how do you guys figure that out?
Well, when a student comes into our program, there's a nice little packet that they have to fill out. And in that packet, it explains about their disability, the different goals that they want to achieve. Once we get all of that information back in, we have them meet with our physical therapist. And we have a wooden horse named Peggy. She's our easiest keeper of the barn. And they'll get on Peggy, and our physical therapist will go through different movements with them. So that sort of tells us, how much stretch they have in their legs, what their balance is, their head, neck control, their hand-eye coordination. And then we work with the therapist and the parents to make goals for those students, so what they want to achieve. Some kids, it's confidence. Some kids, it's completely I want to be independent. Some kids, it's I want to be able to reduce my time of answering you or picking up an object. Some of it's physical. So learning how to breathe on a horse, because the nice thing about horses, they mimic us. So when you quit breathing, I can tell when a horse is walking around an arena when you quit breathing, because they quit breathing.
Wow.
So I can tell a kid, don't forget to breathe. And the kids are always like, how do you know I'm not breathing? And it's like, because I can tell your horse isn't. You know, so, and the horses also tell you where you're sore, you know. So, I mean, if you're sore in your hip, the horse will be sore in his hip. So the horse mimics and can tell us a lot also about the person.
Wow, that's pretty amazing that they're
Yeah.
so intuitive
Yes.
to our different physical needs and abilities.
Yeah. I bet you've seen a lot of transformations.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you give us some examples?
We've one of the students we had come in, the doctors told him that they would probably be in a stroller the rest of his life. He wouldn't be able to sit up on his own, talk. And we worked with him for several years and did a lot of therapy. And we rode him daily at one point to help build up his core muscles. So when he come into our program, we laid him down on the horse. So that way, even though he's laying down, he's still getting this whole rock and roll movement, and he's getting the warmth off the horse. Well, eventually what happens is, you know, kids learn something. It's fun. So they want to keep practicing. They want to keep trying. Well, he realized, you know, if he sat up, he could see a whole lot more. So he tried to pull himself up, and it progressed enough where he was eventually standing. He's walking. He can now run. One year he came in and he come into the office and he went, ah! You know, he was trying to say my name, but it was the first sound that he'd actually
That's amazing.
had said. So, you know, his speech therapist truly believes that the muscle strength that we develop when riding horses pushed the oxygen up to his vocal cords where it needed to be so he could get sound out. So he now, you know, is in school and completing complete sentences. And so we see a lot of different things like that. You know, some people say, oh, they've never been able to walk before. Well, horseback riding can relax those muscles where they can stand and where they can take a few steps. So we see a lot of little different things like that. I've seen kids that have come in that have been suicidal. And we put them with a horse, and I have one rule. I'm not going to tell anything you say unless it's a detriment to you or someone else. And I hear some very interesting things about parents that the kids choose to tell, you know, the horses, but the horse doesn't talk back. He's just going to stand there and he's going to love on you. And he's just this big symbol of strength and confidence when the kids are brushing him and, you know, working with them, that it's something, I can't explain it, but it brings it out of the students that when they come and ride. And it's really neat to see. So
It really can be amazing what animals can do
Yes.
for us.
Yes.
I was telling you about my dog, and he has been, I mean, in a strange way, you wouldn't think of it, but when I had, you know, one of my kids, I struggled with postpartum depression, and he was so great because he was just something that I could just kind of love on and hug, and it was like he knew the hard days and things like that. So I'm sure the horses are like that, probably even more so, because they've been trained to do these things. So that's
most
pretty
of
amazing.
it's pretty natural, though. So they know who's handling them. If I'm handling them, sometimes they get a little bit spicy in
your
their
mama.
attitudes. And then, you know, when they, you know, I could have them 1 minute and they're, you know, throwing a little temper tantrum, and then the student takes over and they're like, I got to be good. You know, do everything right.
Sure.
So we've seen some really neat transformations and different things like that. So
That's awesome. Where do you guys get your students? How are people referred to you?
most of it's word of mouth. There are a few doctors in Peoria that do send their students to us, but most are word of mouth, just like most of our horses come in that way. They are all free leased or donated, so we're not a state-run program. So we rely very heavily on donations, and so every horse that comes in, they have a 6 to 8 week trial period, so we can decide if this is a right fit for them. There are our stars of our program, so we have to make sure that's something that they're comfortable with, they want to do. Not every horse is made for working with students with disabilities, and so we work with them, and then once we decide we'll keep them, and we'll do them for a year lease, and then we can do a donation if they choose to. So
That's great. So how can people get involved? Like you said, you run off of donations a lot. What are things that people donate to you guys?
Hay, money, sawdust, any horse equipment, fly spray, muck buckets, paper. So anything you can think of, most of the time we can use it. So our program is very volunteer based. We actually right now only have 2 full-time people and 1 part-time.
Oh, wow.
And we have over 100 volunteers that help. I mean, without our volunteers, we wouldn't have a program, but we have many different avenues to volunteer. You know, we still do a newsletter. We try to do a website. We have anything from helping with the horses, brushing, walking with the kids, leading the horses, to actual stable management, coming in and helping us clean the stalls, brush the horses, help give them baths every time, when they need it, because sometimes they do get a little smelly. And then to helping out in the office, different tasks in there. So
what's a website that they can find out more?
They can go to www.cert.info.
CIRT.
Yep. .info. Yep.
.info.
Yep.
Easy to remember.
So, and it is under a little bit of construction. So, all the information should be up there, but it just may not look as pretty as, because we're doing some reconstruction on it. So
that's awesome. Well, they could always wander in, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How many horses do you have there?
We currently have 12.
12.
So.
Wow.
So, and we do a lot of fundraisers throughout the year to support our program. And coming up here in August, we have our big polo match over at Weaver Farms here in Peoria. So we'll have a polo match on August 18th. It's open to the public, and we have a silent auction. Come see the polo game and have dinner. So.
Will we get to go out and fill the polo holes?
Like,
can I wear a hat like they do in England? Okay.
Yep. So it's a lot of fun.
That sounds like fun.
Awesome. Well, we were talking with Doug Pinter during the transition of shows, and he was mentioning that stroke victims have huge benefits from riding horses. Do you work anything outside of, say, disabilities?
You mean as far as stroke victims? And oh yes, most definitely. So we've had a couple kids, actually students. Not all of them are kids. I keep saying that because our youngest rider's 4, our oldest rider's in his 70s, that come in that have had strokes or brain injuries. And what we use the horse for is the movement of the horse. So at that point, then we'll incorporate in like yoga and Tai Chi and learning how to breathe and using another arm. Let's say, it affects their left side. We have drumsticks and balls, that they'll hold to help stretch. So they use the other arm to help get that other arm up there. So we use the horse's movement more to benefit them. So.
How do they do yoga on a horse?
I want to know too. Do they stand? How do you not fall off the horse?
Well, sometimes we're moving, so it can be a little. You have to really pay attention. But sometimes then we come into the center and we'll do different yoga movements while the horse is standing there, because it adds a whole nother realm of balance because you're not on a flat surface.
Sure.
So when you're sitting up there on the horse and you're trying to balance on your seat bones and do some of the different leg stretches and bring your leg across and stretch this way, it adds a different level of difficulty and
I can
workout.
just picture doing downward dog on the back of a horse. It's like,
some of our little kids might be able to do that. That might be a little bit challenging for some of our adults.
Sure.
be great for balance, I tell you.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Wow.
So.
Jenna Walker, CIRT, CIRT.info.
Yes.
It's the best way to reach you.
So, or Facebook.
On
Yes.
Facebook, awesome. I'm sure you have pictures and
Oh yes.
all that stuff on there. If you're interested in helping out, feel free to check their website out. Is there a phone number or a person specifically that they should reach out to if they're interested?
If they want to call the office, it's 309-699-3710, and you can ask for myself or Kathy.
Awesome.
So.
Thank you so much, and thanks for
Hey.
co-hosting with me.
It wasn't so scary.
You did an awesome job. Well, if I can do it, you can do it. It's not that big a deal. So thank you for joining us on In the Neighborhood on Peoria Life. Thank you.
PeoriaLife.com